to LYLAS. If you grew up in the 90s and you know what that stands for, this podcast is for you.
Welcome to episode 54. Hey.
Actually, coming to you live here from Breckenridge, Colorado. I always like to record out here. This is where we did our first episode.
It was. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that. You're so right. That we re-recorded how many times?
Right. This setup is very similar to that first one. I have about $4 jacking up my mic right now so that I can get close to it.
I love it. We're making
it's a little
it work
janky,
here.
but it works.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. So, topic for this week is drum roll.
Da-da-da-da. Giving your power away. Ooh.
Or ways that we give our power away.
Yeah.
We actually talked about this topic last time we recorded, like 2 weeks ago. And I remember we had really good ideas. We were like going back and forth and like, this could be a whole episode. And then I didn't write anything down. So when I looked at the topic for today, I was like, I should probably think about what I'm going to say. It's the biggest lie that I tell myself is that I'm going to remember later. Like if I didn't write it down, I'm 1000% not going to remember it later.
Oh.
Like I was doing some work and I wrote down last week at the end of a meeting that I would do action item 2. And do you think that I wrote down what action item 2 is?
Yeah.
Do you think I can remember what action item 2 is?
Right.
I can't. I have no idea. So that's fun.
And so here we are. Right.
I digress. Yeah, let's talk about some ways that we give our power away. I think this is a great episode because this is something that I work at and have. But once you start to realize the ways that you're giving your power away, it's very easy to switch and find ways to hold on to that power.
Yeah, easy. Gosh. Well, I don't know. I don't, that's where I just got stuck at. I was like, man, I was also really excited to talk about this episode from our previous discussion, but then even some things that, kind of not even big things that have happened just today, like within the last 2 hours that, as you all know and hear me talk about things, like I'm still just like pissed, surprised, right?
Oh,
right.
Giving your power away is what it sounds like.
Exactly. And I don't need to be doing this, But it's one of those things that is just, you can be aware, I think, that you're doing it. And maybe that is the first step in just being aware whenever you are giving your power away. And by power, what I think we mean is that we are giving away our emotional energy to something that has no real great value or impact on our life, or one that we can't control or change, that is happening outside of our sphere of existence. Or one that we're just still like pissed about that may have happened like, I don't know, 2 days ago, a week ago, different things like that. I mean, but it's all just like we're carrying around like blood-sucking leeches, kind of on our body that do take away the energy that is needed just to do our basic day-to-day tasks, or just to even engage in that full level of like self-care and improvement that we're trying to do the work on. But it just is so trapping to find yourself in that position where we are just, instead of being self-protective and selectively permeable in terms of what we are letting into our being and system, it is so much easier, I think, just to give our power away. And
for sure.
That I think that's the easy part. The hard part is like
some of it is just the language that we use, like taking our energy.
Yeah.
That again is giving them the power to do so versus what I allow my energy to go or what I give my energy to. That's my power. That's my responsibility to set a boundary on that. Which is always easier said than done. And I think boundary in general is going to permeate this conversation because it's all about how we set boundaries. Something that's very hard, particularly within existing relationships. If you don't set the boundary from the get rip or when something changes initially, then it's really hard to go back and set a boundary several years into like entrenched relationships. I don't even know if entrenched is the right word, but what's new? Um, so I just think that part of it is, what kind of boundaries do we set around ourselves in terms of like, what has access to me? What
Yeah.
am I allowing to penetrate me in any terrible word, but like, what am I allowing? What am I consuming? Because it's shaping my entire day. We talk about that a lot, right? What we allow
Yeah.
to like infiltrate our world, because we do have control over that. What we look at when we scroll through social media, what we eat, how we work, how we move our body, all of those things are within our control for the most part. Who we engage with on a daily basis, for the most part, is within our control. Not always, but certainly. And that's part of it. Like, I was just writing out ways that I feel like I try to retain my power instead of focusing on like what things have I shifted, because you can Google and look at all the ways that you give your power away, right?
Yeah.
But how do you shift and make those changes so that you're not giving your power away? Like, how do you hold on to that? So I wrote down a few things.
All right, great.
And I
Let's dive
think
in.
maybe let's go through this and see if any of these could apply to your
I'll
situation.
tell you the situation too. Maybe
Okay.
this will make it fun.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
as you guys know, I'm a major to-do lister. This is I, all the time. It's it's my best friend, probably. It's always with me, one of them. And one of the goals, and I think I see my to-do list as goals, and so I really want to mark it off and achieve it, right? So Monday and Tuesday this week, I have spent time and different points of time throughout those days calling a certain business that comes to our house to do service on something that we have. And every time
Right.
that I call, I leave my name, my phone number, you know, listing it all out correctly, and ask for a call back. Also, as a piece of information, I was the one that found and hired this company to do said service. So my name and information should be the only one that is listed within their thing as like the primary point of contact. And so they haven't called me back. So in my mind, I'm like, well, we've had different weeks of spring break. Maybe this business is on spring break this week and they'll get back to me next
Right.
week. So I'll give them that kind of grace to do this. Well, I get a text from my sweet husband because these are my tasks that I'm supposed to be going through and doing. And he's like, hey, guess what? These people called. They're scheduled to come out here on this day and time. And I'm like, So is this another business? Because there are, and if you're a woman, you know that there are times in which you have to get your car scheduled for a service, or you're having something done at your house, or there are certain tasks that even though you were the responsible party calling and doing this, they won't call you back. They call your husband instead. And I'm like, so they didn't want to call me, who's actually supposed to be at the house whenever they're coming to do this, to see if I'm even available. No, the person whose name is on the order with the phone number and all of this stuff. Instead, they called him. So in my mind, I'm sitting here like, okay, that's cool. We're not going to call the actual.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is why I'm pissed.
Well, if that's the worst thing that happens to you this week, then God bless you first.
Right. That's
Second
true.
of all, I mean, insert your power here. Like, call them and say, I am your contact and I need you to schedule these services with me, not my husband. So please take his number off and use this and be your sweet, kind, lovely self and take your power. Like, people, it's me. Call me. I'm the one here. Let me be the scheduler of this service. Like, what service is this? What are they doing for you?
I'm taking care of a damn pool. It's not even, like you said, it's not even that big of a deal, but I've been trying to get this thing done for like 2 days. And I just feel like, I think for me, where
you can't cross it off your list.
Well, it's one, I can't cross off my list, but whenever we are giving our power away, I feel like there are certain traps that we just automatically fall in. and it's hard to get out of that hole once we're in that hole. So for me, the trigger trap that got sprung where I'm now got a bear claw on my foot is that I feel like it was disrespectful. Right.
Mm.
Again, these are not the worst things in the
But
world that
like,
can
let
happen.
them disrespect you. Like, do you care about these people? Do they bear any kind of like weight in your life?
They inconvenience me every 2 weeks to come here and take care of my house.
Yeah.
So
Well, then
call
just
me.
like
You know?
right. But I mean, as far as like like they disrespect, I mean, you know,
I think it's just,
is
I
it
know.
annoying? Yes. Are they being purpose unless are you terrible on the phone? Are you like one of those
No.
customers that they're like, oh yeah, I don't want to talk to her. I'll call her husband.
I'm like, hey, how's it going? Whenever you guys get a chance, we were thinking this day'd be great. Thanks. I hope you're having a good one. Real
Yeah.
nice,
Okay.
energetic,
Real
positive
nice. Real nice.
until
Positive.
right now.
Not beast mode.
Beast
Well,
mode is
maybe
now.
just take your power back and call and say, "Hey, I'm your contact. Schedule with me. He's
I
at
think
work.
I'm done.
Don't call him. Have a nice day."
I know, and
You
that's
know,
that's a good
take it
idea, and
back.
that's what I'll do. But it's and you're right. This is where these are my traps, though. I don't usually get stuck
Yeah.
in big traps. I get stuck in little traps, and they all have a similar theme to them. And so I think that that's my issue.
Disrespect.
Yeah, whenever I feel like there's been something that has happened that's been disrespectful, then I'm just like,
Mm,
that's a hard one. That's a hard one for me to
that's a hard
regain
one to
power
accept.
over. Yeah, and it's a hard one to regain
Right.
power over. So calling them is one. I can't wait to.
Calling him is one. Okay, let's go. Let's go through some of these others here. Um, let's see. Oh, another big one. Okay. So, like letting people go with light and love. This
Mm.
kind of also let these people go with light and love. Maybe you find a new pool service.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's another way you show your power. But like having that ability to let people go without any kind of grudge, just like grateful for the time. We're in a different place and space in life now and letting people go. I think that's also a big way that you take your power back
Mm-hmm.
instead of being hurt if things didn't end well or if, um, I mean, that's the biggest thing, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
likely if it ended well, you don't need to let that person go with light and love. But when there's a negative ending to a relationship, being able to let go of that and just appreciate what you had at the time, I think is
Mm-hmm.
another real way that I've learned to gain my power back and feel good about things despite the outcome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that can apply to like previous like romantic relationships, friendships, family ships, all of those
Mm-hmm.
types of things. There's no, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with saying, like we're not aligned in energy anymore. And,
Mm-hmm.
then that's okay. We want different things. We have different values, and that's okay. With light and love, I'll let you go.
Yeah.
Seems very powerful to me. And I feel like a good way for us to let things go, which is so hard. I know so many people that really struggle with holding grudges. And I like to think, I've always sort of been somebody that gets over things pretty quickly. I'm not one to hold a grudge.
Mm.
But, I know there are many people I love that are not that way.
Mm-hmm.
And, ultimately you carry that with you
Mm-hmm.
and give them the power to still affect you on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis.
Yeah.
Why would you give that to somebody? So,
No, that's a good one.
that's another
Mm-hmm.
biggie.
Yeah, the way I see, I can deal with those ones pretty good. These other ones that just get under my skin. Um, Whenever I was practicing, it was one thing that I would say: if they're not here, they're not here. And so, if they're not physically within your presence,
Mm-hmm.
then they cannot occupy space in your head. And so, even
Mm,
using that as like a mantra: if they're not here, they're not here. In those moments where you
yeah.
find yourself kind of going down that other rabbit hole or trap where you're thinking back at the relationship and whatever else has happened as a part of it. If they're not physically here, they can't be here either.
Right.
was a way just to kind of
I like that.
reframe in those moments. And it was a solid mantra. If you can just kind of, and
Yeah.
repeating it to yourself would work. So,
Mm-hmm.
but with
I like
light
that
and
mantra.
love, I let you go.
With light and love, ain't nobody got time for bad energy.
No.
I was talking to my friend yesterday. We were out on the mountain, and we were having a conversation. We have deep conversations, and I'm like, it's okay to recognize like everybody brings energy. I don't care who you are. You bring energy to a situation, and sometimes we feel like we have to bring a certain energy to the situation. But like in general, however we're feeling, thinking, being that day, you can feel somebody's energy when they walk into a room most of the time. And so, if it's not good energy that you align with, like it's okay to be like, love you from a distance, or, it's that you're just not one of my people, because we really don't have time to waste our time with people that bring us down or
Yeah.
that don't help us, like, bring us up and make us feel good about ourselves, and give, like, it's a give get situation, not a one-sided situation. We don't have time for things like that. And we were talking yesterday, she's going through a difficult time right now, and I'm like, these difficult times in life, these real valleys that we've talked about on the show, like, you come out of it and you have no time for bullshit. You have no tolerance for it, because you just realize life is too short to worry about this stuff, or to waste 1 minute with somebody that doesn't give you the same energy that you're putting out there.
Right.
And I think that that is also just so important to remember, that that's okay, that you don't have to dislike somebody. You don't have to talk bad about them. It doesn't have to be like a big breakup where like people, it's just with, you casually spend less time with that person,
Right.
and you spend more time with people that match your energy, or the energy that you're trying to bring into your life.
Relationships are like in monetary investments in a lot of way. We want ones that are
They
going to
really
build
are.
up our account instead of deplete or take it away or cause the market to crash or whatever else from it. They are positive investments that we're making in our life. And um, with that comes the time, which is another valuable component that just can get eaten away from
Mm-hmm.
just being in that space with it, for sure. Yeah. I think about that too in terms
It's
of
so
like
true.
almost like arbitrary relationships, like with people that we like
Mm.
are associates or feel like we should be like friends and chummy with, but there's no reason to do it. Like I would not talk to this person on any other circumstance, not to be
Mm.
mean, but just like, you know,
Right.
I'm having a conversation with you only because these people work together and it's what you should do. You know what I mean? Or like
Mm-hmm.
we have to
Yeah.
kind of put on like this
Right.
facade where we're like friends just because we're part of the same group. And it's like, that's just not where I'm at right now. That's not a kind of relationship that I feel like
Yeah.
is one to invest in. And so I have started to, like what you said, just kind of put boundaries down. And if it's not one of those things that is
Mm.
creating even a penny's worth of investment almost into things, I just don't know that it's even worth a penny's worth of withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So
I
it's,
agree. I totally agree. You have to evaluate everything. And I don't mean that in like I mean, I guess maybe I do, like in a selfish way of like, oh, it's got to only be a positive for me. I don't mean it that way, because relationships, like there are times when people are going through hard stuff, and that's hard to go through too. It's hard to walk with somebody that's going through something that's really hard. Like, so it's not all just like, oh, how is this making my life better? But more of like, are they matching what I need out of like
yeah.
a person and a relationship? And that's what I mean by, it's got to be an investment. Got to be in the energy bank. Let's get a little woo here. Call it the energy bank, but you're totally right. It's that investment.
Yeah. It just needs
So,
to have that kind of level with it, have that level of meaning with it.
uh, for sure. On that same note, another idea or another thought I had, as far as where you can really, contain your power, or at least harness your power, is realizing you're going to deal with hard stuff in life and really embracing the hard when it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Really like being like, oh, this is going to suck, but I'm going to settle in and I'm going to handle this and I'm going to come out better for it on the other side. And really holding on to that idea of no matter what it is, whatever you're going through, that like you can handle that and that like you have the power to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's, and I like one of the examples I give is, I turn all my worries over to God so that I can be present in the moment. I'm not worried about the future. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
concerned so much with the past, but like right now I can focus because I'm not worried about what's going to happen in the future to some extent, right? The things that I can't control.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to give that over to whatever you serve. You've got to give that up so that you can be more present and also know that no matter what comes your way, you can handle it.
Yeah.
You've got the power within you to be uncomfortable and deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to sit in discomfort, but you can do it.
Right.
Just like an ice bath, just like a cold plunge,
Mm-hmm.
just like an anxiety attack,
Mm-hmm.
anything, just like anything you're going through, grief, deep grief, it's going to suck, but you can do it. And
Yeah.
that is really powerful in my mind.
Mm-hmm. And there's a big differentiation between like, at least in yoga, we talk about it, pain and discomfort. You can manage through
Mm-hmm.
and breathe through discomfort, because that is going to
Mm-hmm.
create a release in doing so. Now, the threshold
Mm-hmm.
is where is that causing pain? You know what I mean? Within that practice. But
Mm-hmm.
discomfort is
Sure.
something that we can absolutely work with and work through. It's very, very, very uncomfortable. Um, but it does, taking that inward focus, I think, makes it much more tolerable. The
Yeah.
notion that you can do hard things, you have done hard
Mm-hmm.
things, is an important piece to remember. And then, as you were talking about it, like with worries and things about the future, another thing is if you're always so focused on the future, you're never prepared for what happens today. And then that
Yeah.
slowly starts to mount and create this pressure that you don't know where it's coming
Mm-hmm.
from. And it's because you're not looking where it's at. And where it's at is right here. It's right in this space, but you're so focused
Mm-hmm.
on the worries of the future or what could happen,
Yeah.
that you're unaware of this. And that's where
What's
that
actually
really,
happening in the moment.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And that
It's so true.
presentness.
That is
Mm-hmm.
big. And that's what I've come to realize for me. Anxiety is so much worry about future things that could happen. I think a lot of people probably have that similar type of anxiety, but it's once you realize that like you're wasting so much of your power worrying about things you really have no control over, and it's like, why am I giving that away when I can give that over to something else
Mm-hmm.
and focus on like right now, and really try to, be present as silly as that sounds, or as maybe overused as that sounds. It's something that I'm working very hard at
Mm-hmm.
and keeping my power to myself.
Mm-hmm. And I think going
So,
back to our meditation stuff, that's what it really, the drive of that is. It's
mm,
to be able to go back to that place of presentness, to be able to go back to
mm-hmm.
those mantras or to the breath in that space. So that way, whenever those things happen, you have that opportunity to kind of come away from it with a different set of refreshment or lenses kind of put on your eye, or at least you're more aware of the moment by doing so.
Or just like tools for the
Mm-hmm.
discomfort. How do you breathe through it? Like you think about when you got in that cold plunge,
Mm-hmm.
like you had the nasal breathe, like you could do the deep breaths. You've practiced this, like you just went there and it's just from practice. And
Mm-hmm.
so you had the tool to get through the discomfort. And did you want to do
No, no, ma'am. No, I'm still cold.
it?
I still haven't warmed up, for Christ's sakes. It's been like a month and a half and I'm still cold. Uh-uh. No.
Well, the other power keeper, I gotta find a better way to say that, but the
Mm-mm.
other power keeper that I thought about, and this is something else I think you've always done a good job of. I'm learning to do it in my 40s, but it is really disassociating from what other people think of you and their opinions. And, take it, if you like you, that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that matters. If you are happy and you like who you are and you're doing the work, whatever it is, that's really all that matters. And what you put out into the world, is for them to receive, but that's where you're done. You just put, it's like this podcast. We just put it out there. How is it? We're not offending anyone. So like how it's received is really out of our hands and not something that we should even worry about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Just
Oh,
like you got to put out who you are and be okay with that
yeah.
and
And
not worry or not think that your worth relies on what other people think of you.
right. Getting in that self comparison or
Mhm.
approval game, like with
Yes.
other people or with status or situations, getting caught up in that whole, I don't even
Keeping
know.
up with the Joneses
Yeah.
or, just like that.
Clickiness that can kind of come with
Mhm.
things.
For sure. For sure. So the more that we can just be who we are and be okay with that, you'll
Mm-hmm.
find your people. Your
Right.
people will find you.
Absolutely. And I think that the more the closer you get to yourself, the more that those other people will back away because they
Mhm.
truly
For
weren't a
sure.
part of your crowd anyways.
Mhm.
And you can start to notice and sense that. And what I would caution against is then turning it inside like you've done something wrong. No, you've done the right thing
Right.
by, turning into yourself, by focusing on what makes you happy, who you want to be and show up as today. And if other people are pulling away, that's not a reflection on something you've done. That is their intolerance or
Mhm.
whatever. You know what I mean? The situation is, or they're just
Right.
not really like your friend or your person. And how cool
Or
of a
they don't want
lesson
what's
would
best
that?
for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the case in some situations, not all,
Mm-hmm.
but most of the time, if you're bettering yourself in any capacity and they're not supporting you,
Mm-hmm.
that's that's a pretty good indicator that they're not looking out for your best interests.
Right.
And so, it's okay to find new people and then think about all the extra time and energy you have to put into those relationships and nurture those relationships that, like we said, are putting coins in your bank.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that that's sometimes hard, especially, maybe not even especially, but I'm just going to say it because that's what I felt. For like moms, if you have like school age kids and stuff like that, and
Mm.
you have the parties, the friend groups, the activities, and all of that stuff, it's almost like you're being thrusted back and into an environment of social exchange or social comparison that is it's pretty unnatural, so it does have some kind of levels of like discomfort, like okay, our kids are friends, so now we have to be friends kind of a thing.
No,
No,
no.
no, but does it feel like that? Or then does that, if you have that kind of disposition to it, then that's where that whole mindset can kind of get caught up in, like with
Mm.
keeping up with the Joneses, or bringing the cookies to the party, or whatever it kind of comes down to, that just really leads to that uh, self doubt that gets created from that whole
Well, I think
process.
what you just said also gives your power away. Like when
Does.
you start changing your behavior to accommodate people's expectations of you, you just gave your power away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
show up who you want to show up as. And if you want to bring cookies to the party, excellent. If you want to bring hot fudge sundaes,
Mm-hmm.
right on, like whatever it is, like show up how you want to show up. And if people don't like it, then that's
That's
unfortunate.
that. Then that's that.
That's that. I mean, it is. But we have to hold on to who we are and be okay with that
Mm-hmm.
and hold on to our power. Because
Mm-hmm.
it really does. It leads to so many other things. It just splays out like, the minute we start to give our power away to other people. Not saying that people that are taking your power or whatever, that they're bad people. I'm not saying that either. I'm
Mm-mm.
saying like realize what you get to harness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's so much in life we have no control over, but there's actually a lot we do have control over.
Yeah,
So why not harness what we can?
absolutely. No, I
Maybe
like your
everybody
point.
else already has this figured out. And congratulations if you do. I'm very happy for you. I am a
Cheers.
41-year-old work in progress, but
Amen.
I
Me
have
too.
learned a lot in the last 5 or so years, I feel like, in terms of self development.
Mm-hmm.
Funny what happens when you do the work, right?
It is, and it's continued work too. And so that's where it's like, again. And some of us, I think it comes down to like we can handle some situations so much better than others.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just our gift. And it's not that we have the weakness in the other areas. It's just this whenever things turn one way, it's our gift to respond to it in X way. And then, again, something like somebody not calling me back and calling my husband will tear me to absolute shreds. Whereas
Yeah, but why? Like I get
it
so
makes no
excited at
sense.
the idea that like I get to choose. Like I have the power to control
Oh,
how I
definitely.
respond. Like I get to like I have even found that recently in situations I've been in that used to work me up very quickly or things that would
Mm-hmm.
like irritate the hell out of me, right? Internally. And it's so much easier now to just be like, "Eh,
Yeah.
I don't have to be around that, or I don't have to engage, or I can,
Mm-hmm.
I can make decisions that help me to avoid being around
Right.
things that don't make me happy, that don't align with who I want to be.
Right.
Like I can create that. And that is really freaking exciting to me that I
Mm-hmm.
get to choose, you know, what I like the people that I come in contact with for the most
Right.
part.
Mm-hmm.
Like you really have a lot of power in that stuff. So,
It's true.
you know,
Yeah.
I'd either find a new pool guy or I'd call him and lay it down for him. And then if it happened again, I'd find a new pool guy,
That's it. Right.
There's
Yeah.
got to be more than one.
That's right.
Um,
Yeah. But that again, that comes down to like a gift. That's a skill that I'm working on, like those situations. But I could care less. I could walk into any situation. I could care less what any human being there thinks. Like that means
yeah.
no.
I
That
mean, nobody likes to be disrespected. Like I'll get
yeah.
that because that'll work me up pretty quickly too. But maybe like maybe we need to do some work on like why that works us up, or
Oh
why we don't
yeah.
like to be disrespected. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
That's
I
the
don't know.
meditation. That's the meditation. That's going to be
That's
the
right.
next
We
point of
got to see
focus.
what happens in the gap.
Hey, we're doing it. That's it. I'm
That's right.
consistent now.
That's
So,
right. I love that. I love that you're
mm-hmm.
consistent with it. Are you using David G?
Whenever you recommend one to me, I do.
Okay. I
Otherwise,
got a
I
really
use.
good one for you.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I use a Sanskrit mantra for the first like bit of it, and then the primal sound one I do for the
Okay.
second, and then
I like it.
you'll like this too. Every day I do the read aloud. Well, this is what I call a read aloud. The poor
Can't
dog.
wait to hear this.
So out of the seven spiritual laws
Laws.
things, yeah. So I read one every single day that
Mm-hmm.
the same one every week. So I go through it. But whenever I'm home, Penny and I do it together. And Penny just happens, if you don't know this, to be my dog. So I read aloud to the dog the
The
entire
law of the
chapter,
day.
the law of the day. Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
She
So
is gonna be she is gonna be very spiritually connected. That's for sure.
right, my
Little
emotional
Penny.
support animal has to sit there and listen to me read the
She's like,
spiritual laws of the
just
day.
scratch me. I don't care what happens.
right, right. That's normally what she. So if you ever hear her on this podcast, she's always by my side, and she sounds like a camel. She'll go, oh. That's whenever she's over me.
I actually don't ever hear her.
Oh yeah, she's right
Um,
here. She's
well,
always there.
she's always there. Well,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully this will give you some ideas as far as where you're taking your power back or giving your power away. Just start to
Mm-hmm.
recognize these things in life. And we'll put up, there's like a top 10 warning signs if you're giving your power away. So maybe look over that. You can check that out on our website, thelylaspodcast.com,
Mm-hmm.
and check us out on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. No, not
We
Twitter.
do have a Twitter, yeah, and we have a
We just
TikTok.
never post that. And a
Mm-hmm.
TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we'll be back hopefully on our regular schedule. Sarah's been traveling. I'm obviously actually I'm traveling next month too. You probably are as well. We'll figure it out. I won't look like a homeless person next week.
That's me
This
every
is just
day.
my Colorado get up. My husband loves it out here. And
Mm.
to the point where like, I don't even think he notices that I don't shower for like 3 days. And he would move out here like tomorrow. And I'm like, you realize your wife would look homeless every day if I lived in the mountains. Like it's just the vibe up here. You just want to be cozy. Give me some socks, hat, sweatshirts. I mean, I got multi layers on here. It's going to be 50 in the mountains today.
Oh,
Um, but
yeah.
anyway,
No.
this is homeless looking Jenny.
No, I hear
All of you watching this on YouTube.
Which is me now every day. That's my two looks. I tell my husband, actually other people say too, I have two looks. It's either homeless or beauty queen. So
There you go.
that's it. That's it. That's all you're getting, folks.
No in between, right?
No in between. No time for in between on this one. So that's it.
All right. Well, until next week,
Bye.
we
Let's go
out.
out.